As Chris mentioned, the Bacon brothers have a storied career in the BC underworld. In fact, according to the allegations, they burst onto the scene with a bang. Since Jonathan Jarrett and Jamie Bacon allegedly took command of the Red Scorpions, there's been no shortage of bullet-riddled bodies. In 2007, 4 men with gang ties and 2 innocent bystanders were found in a Surrey apartment suite executed. Police linked those murders to Jamie Bacon. Then in 2009, a rivalry with the United Nations gang led to dozens of murders.
Now, as police, we've always been told by media experts to never say or admit that there is a gang war. Well, let's get serious. There is a gang war and it's brutal.
Police seized huge amounts of drugs, cash, and guns. In May, police came down hard on the UN.
I can tell you that these charges stem specifically from a conspiracy to kill Jonathan David Bacon, James Kyle Bacon, and Jared Wayne Bacon.
Suddenly, it was pretty quiet on the Western Front, but as the West grows and drugs remain a booming business in BC, could the trail of dead ever be far behind? Ranj Dhaliwal grew up in Surrey, BC at a time when Indo-Canadian gangs were locked in vicious turf battles. He's now an expert on BC's underworld and the author of Daaku, The Gangster's Life. He joins me now from Vancouver. Ranj, thanks for talking to us tonight. And tell me about Kelowna, because the first thing that kind of popped out when I saw this story, to me I think of a sort of lakeside, lovely Kelowna, not a place where you're going to see a gangland shooting like this. Why Kelowna?
Well, Kelowna, as you said, is a beautiful place. It is a lakeside, gorgeous community. The thing about Kelowna is that Kelowna, Kamloops, and any of these cities outside of the Lower Mainland, they are used for, a majority of them are used for cultivating marijuana. And that marijuana is brought down to the Lower Mainland and across the border. That's one of the main reasons. It's kind of like the stop before you go up north or to other provinces.
Yeah, and tell me about that, Ranj, because I mean that's part of this whole pipeline too. We always think of the Lower Mainland as really being the hub, but as we see the growth and prosperity in Western Canada, I guess that drug trade just keeps moving out of the Lower Mainland.
Oh, definitely. Wherever there's going to be a demand, somebody has to supply it, right? And you say pipeline. We'll use example, the Alberta pipeline that we have, with oil, gas. There's people that go up north, trades workers, so on and so forth, and they need something to do. I know a lot of trades workers that actually go up north and over across to Alberta, and because of the large, they have a higher pay scale out there. That they actually, because they're in camp life as well, they use a lot of drugs out there, and it's expensive out there as well. But coming back to Vancouver, Vancouver is sort of, like I like to say, the head office for these organized crime and for the gangsters, because we're so close to the ports and to the border that it's so easy to get the hard drugs like cocaine across the border with a straight trade for marijuana, and the guns, they come from right across the border as well. So Vancouver is the central area where everything comes through the Lower Mainland. I like to say Lower Mainland, not just Vancouver, because now we have Surrey, and we've got the other local communities, Langley, New Westminster. Everybody's all these areas contribute to it. But Vancouver as a whole, Lower Mainland, this is the area where the majority of the hard drugs are coming in for sale to go to Vancouver for even in Surrey for the crack trade, the crack cocaine trade, and for the softer hard drugs, I guess, like straight cocaine for snorting purposes. But that's all got to go somewhere, and that goes out to Kelowna, that goes out to Kamloops, that goes up north, that goes across to the other provinces. And just because there's so much development in the Vancouver, Surrey region in the Lower Mainland, it's harder for anybody to grow marijuana out here, just because everybody can smell it. There's quite the smell to it, and the best place to do that is in northern cities.
So and we're looking on, you've got the crime side to this, but there is the demand side of this. And as you see the demand growing, then we should expect, or are you seeing right now that the crime and the violence growing along with it?
Oh, definitely. Anytime you have a demand for something, like I said, there's a supply for it. These suppliers aren't just regular businessmen. Just like in regular business, there's competition. And, everybody wants to outdo the competition. Out here with the organized crime and with the gangsters, the competition is other gangsters, and the only way to eliminate them is not by undercutting them, and it's by violence, and that's the only way. And as you see, like in Kelowna, there's murders that occur from that. Even with the Surrey 6 shooting, we're talking about Bacon's here. One of the Bacon brothers was killed over the weekend. The Surrey 6, that was a lot a lot to do with the crack trade in the Surrey area, the Surrey Central area, which is called Wally. If you walk down the streets there's prostitution, drug addicts are sitting on the streets. There's quite the demand for it there.
Ranj Dhaliwal, good to get your insight on this tonight. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yes.
You know, gang-related violence has jumped in Canada over the past decade. In 1997, there were 28 gang-related murders. 12 years later, that number has jumped to 124. In fact, 1 in every 5 homicides that year was gang-related. Now, those committing the murders weren't exactly seasoned criminals either. Get this, the average age